Welcome. This is the first video in which I'm going to show all the cards. This is my new deck. Welcome in. I trust you're doing well, and that this will really give you some insight on not only how they use the deck, but the mythology behind it, so you have a better understanding of what's going on here. First and foremost, this deck is a culmination of many different systems. The Mayan Olmec Oracle, for one, the Destiny cards. We have dragons, we have fairies, we have herbs and plants, and we have, what else did I miss? Fairies, Destiny cards, the major arcana, and just a few that kind of came down the pike to be channeled and put into the deck. So let's get to it. First of all, here's the cover to Fancy's deck. This is Fancy, and she is a character that uh, I've been creating and building as a storyline that came to me in about 2012 in Atlanta, Georgia. And all this work is a culmination of about 10 years of different styles of art and my journey through those different systems while I was learning them. So, speaking of the major arcana, and you will find Fancy on these cards here and there. This is Fancy as the Fool card. And this is the moment before she enters a place called Pine Box Ridge, which is the remnants of what we would call this world, as this story takes place 2,000 years from now in the age of Capricorn. And this is one of the remaining places that still has that element of what we are experiencing today. So this is where she begins her journey in the Fool's card with her dog named Rhythm. She's really on a journey of self-discovery. Little does she know, looking for her father's tomb due to that crystal that she's wearing. So the symbolism you can pick out of here is immense, just from the articles of clothing that she has, to the dog, to the chasm, to the town itself and what it would represent in the reading. You can see right here, this is the crystal right here, hanging off of her neck. So these cards have a lot of picture references inside that you could use. This is one of the fairies from her world named Sophia, which is wisdom. And as you can see, she embodies many of the what I like to call sharp or very aggressive insects. She's a protector. Um, First and foremost, there's three of these which really go together, so I'll point those out. And these three cards are Sophia, Dreamcatcher, and Aurora. These are the three fairies who were present at Fancy's birth in the fairy kingdom. And all three had made a vow to watch over her and guide her while she, came of age in the fairy kingdom of Kundas, which I call it. But Sophia represents the wisdom. She's also the protector of pregnant women and children. She's a doula. All three of them are doulas. You know what I'm saying? Birth doulas and death doulas. And where she deals with the wisdom, she's pretty much in the forefront of these three as far as what you would call a chain of command. But these two are no slouches in their own right. Dreamcatcher is a fairy who can help you in the dream well, the assistance of decoding symbols, the meanings of dreams, and protection while in the dream state, while going through the realm. She's a guardian spirit in that aspect. And then we have Aurora, who is merged with the bat totem. So you'll find the totems in here as well. Um, and the ability to see without seeing. Very much about trust, very much about flying, using the other senses. So this card could represent a person who maybe has lost one of the senses, one of the five senses, and as a result, one of the other senses has come to the forefront and strengthened to compensate for that loss or that apparent loss of a sense. You know what I mean? Um, the horns on her head, the wings. I mean, it depends on the situation, the person you're reading for, where these cards really come into play. Okay, so there's really no limits. I like to give the explanation for them, but I encourage everybody to really come to their own understanding. The Hierophant. This card right here is the symbolism of people who really channel that higher energy, people who are in constant contact with the divine, having messages coming through and conveying them to the physical world. And as we know in this day and time, people with such qualities and gifts are often looked at as crazy. So the symbolism of a nut house really came to the forefront. And it's pretty much about being locked into this matrix of other people's belief systems and borders and boundaries and things enforced to keep everybody in line, so to speak. So this could be, the room could symbolize a belief system or a religion or just a way of thinking that keeps one confined. But even in this confinement, and even having his arms strapped down, he's still receiving and writing down all these different symbols. See, we have martial arts form here, numbers. Ebb is actually one of the cards from the Mayan Oracle that's in the deck as well. So the spade right here would be from the Destiny card system. But also to note that he's spitting out these pills, the pills that they give us, and those pills could be, it's kind of like the Matrix, but it's like, those would be what people want us to take in kind of energy. And these are the energies that we have rejected being ourselves and sticking to our guns, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? That's our rejection of the system as it is, or a certain belief system that one would try to impose upon. And in this card, also, this is a representation of Fancy right here in her fairy form, how she would, ideally show up in the human realm as a whisper in the ear of the Hierophant. You know what I'm saying? Being strapped and bound in a society and, placed in a box, so to speak. You know what I mean? I wanted to get some of these cards that are not as known to give them a little bit of light, as most of these you can actually look online and find. Here's Fancy with her spirit guides as they follow behind her on her journey. You know what I mean? When she first starts out from the land of Kuna, she acquires spirit guides who have pledged to watch over her from the other side, so to speak. Or the land of Kuna, because the land of Kuna is very higher, much higher in vibration in the human realm. And when she crosses over, she experiences a lot of the things that we do when we go through what they call ascension symptoms. So she feels sick, she feels weak and weary in the beginnings of the story, you know. But just to, you know, different cultures. This is meant to promote the unity of the human species and the different people who from different countries who have all uh, risen to a level, you know what I'm saying, and taken on the form of spirit guides to help guide other people. Now, this one right here, this is my man. He is we, which is a collective. He is what it's referred to as the Others by Miss Blue, the Oracle from Planet Remix. And this is my take on the Others. It's like a galaxy within a form that they take. So it's a collective of beings who are actually in one body, so to speak, that have come to watch over and, you know, take notes and learn from the human experience as well, you know. Another character from the story of Fancy in the later parts of the story is Tausi, which means peacock. Peacock in Swahili. Um, the sister who put me onto that name, her name is 10. So keep in mind that that number might be of some value when using this card or drawing this card for something. The pufferfish, all these different creatures that have attached themselves to Tausi as a form of armor or protection. So this card has a lot to do with the symbiosis between us and nature. She's a mermaid underneath all of this armor, all of these shells and these crabs, all these jagged edges. So this could be in a reading, this could be somebody's defense mechanism. This could be a cancer energy as well, because it protects what's underneath, pretty much like a shell, you know. But her relationship to the aquatic animal kingdom serves as her protection. So there's a lot of that symbolism between us and nature that you can derive from this card if it's ever pulled. Another one of the characters, which is closely related to the magician card in this deck, and three other cards, is Reiki, which is an art form just like mosaic is an art form. There's Tantra, and then there's Inkwell, and these are the four elements. They represent the four elements, but in the story, they represent the four jinn or demons that Fancy's father has at his disposal. He's bound them and released them, but these jinn have all pledged their allegiance to her father in the story because of one, when these demons are not bound by anything, they're subject to be controlled by other entities, other magicians, and they've been abused. That those powers have been abused in the past, just like anywhere else, as above, so below. But they're his helpers, and part of Fancy's inheritance is when she finds her father's temple, these activate once again, and due to her bloodline, she's able to access them. It's kind of like a train your dragon kind of thing, where the way her father used them and the way she uses them will be totally different. And speaking of which, here's the magician card with all four in the background. This is the Hierophant after he escapes from the insane asylum as the Hierophant. The order system for this really is different than the major arcana as it is now, but that's another thing about the deck. It's meant to push the borders and boundaries of what we've already accepted as the norm for these kind of systems. As you can see, the same apparel is still present in this card, because this points to, again, the alchemy of transmuting energy. The same straps that once held you now become, decorations and are adorned onto your uniform, so to speak, as you come out of this state and realize your power as the magician, able to control the elements. And Fancy's father very much is the agent of change, one of many that belong to an order of the Ace of Spades, and they come to this world as janitors to help clean and change and shape the landscape for humans in order to evolve. And here he is again in more of his, let's just say, true form with Fancy's mother, where this is the depiction of the dance between life and death and the pregnancy that comes about these two energies. This is the Lover's card, as you can see, coming together with the yin and the yang, the portal. There's butterflies and then there's flies, showing that, life springs from death and vice versa, that these two are compatible energies, complementary energies, much like any masculine or feminine energy that we identify with, you know what I mean? So let's see if there's any more in here that might, well, let's introduce some of the Mayan oracle. This first one would be the Red Dragon, which is the first in the order of 20 characters that all have their own separate meanings, but are all part of the process. The Red Dragon, or Emix, is the first of 20 characters, which is about birth and nurturing and input and being more so than doing. And what happened here was, while I was in Atlanta, I was given the opportunity, I was introduced to this class or the system run by Wanique and Offset at the time. And they would teach us 7 Under down in at Atlanta. If you've been to Atlanta, you live in Atlanta, you know what I'm talking about. 7 Under had a nice little basement down there. So we would have classes down there. And as part of my tuition, I was asked if I could characterize these archetypes based on their meanings. So I went on a journey not once but twice, this being the second time, to characterize these into like comic books, which is something our ancestors did very much so with the mythology, in order to teach these formulas or equations or high science in a way where, even a child could learn and grasp the meaning. So this is where the origins of a lot of things what we call superheroes and gods and goddesses come from. These are all, different parts of our own being. and having them in characterized form helps us understand ourselves better and really grasp onto the meaning a lot better than reading a whole lot of x squared 2, what I mean, divided by whatever, or the centrifugal force. It puts it into like layman's terms. So that's just something to keep in mind with all these cards. They are aspects of self that we have come to kind of identify and not separate, but to use as a focus for a particular time or an aspect that we are manifesting in our life, a certain energy or quality that we can bring out. The dragons representing a lot of that kundalini energy, but the dragons are very much guardians of things that are sacred, as you can see here. This is one of the let me see if I can find another one. Here's the coral dragon right here. But these dragons all have different meanings, like I said, based on your own intuition. But the way that these were channeled to me were, this is more about keeping your eye on your investments, as people would come to steal your ideas or take advantage of what it is that you're creating. So the ultraviolet dragon represents, kind of keeping one eye open, eyes behind your back, your intuition, and being and having the strength. There's a reason why you're born with horns and claws and can breathe fire. You know what I mean? It's meant to protect that which is sacred. And the anchor here is giving it gives the impression of experience of these kind of things. So this dragon has gone through the gambit of people trying to take these precious these ideas, or these whatever is gold, whatever is precious to you, whatever you might be nurturing at this time. This energy is calling forth to protect things. This could be something as simple as a copyright. You understand what I'm saying? And to keep an eye on your investments. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the coral dragon represents a very gentle kind of energy that is very rare. So this could talk to a quality of a person that maybe they are or are not aware of, that you could use this to help pinpoint when it comes up. So any card after this would be highlighting those kind of aspects. Now the thing about this dragon is, it's by its colors, a lot of creatures in nature use that color to warn enemies that they're poisonous. So as calm and gentle and as sweet as this dragon is, very soothing. You have the water, but it's protecting that inner, that part of us, that very sacred part of us, you could say. But it warns people or predators that if you take a bite, you're going to die, because the poison, within the veins, within the being of this dragon, will take you out of here if you decide to attack it at any point. So these are just the meanings. I don't want to go too deep into it. I wanted to keep the video short, so you wouldn't be here all night and have a chance to explore these yourself. As far as doing your research on some of these different archetypes that come from these systems, the blue hand, and the next one I'll give more insight on the ones that are not as known, as far as these are more channels that came to me throughout the years that have kind of inserted themselves in the deck, and they all have mythologies behind them. This is another, the fairies that are in color, as opposed to the ones who are not in color. I mean, that's for you to decide. It's more of a light and dark kind of energy, you understand? But it's not to say good or evil, but this deals more with the nourishment that one gives oneself or other people. It could also be used as a medicine deck, where this would be one of the herbs, but as a whole, they're meant to just start you on the path of getting to know Mother Nature and the qualities, not just for the healing and medicinal and what can get out of them, but really to nurture a relationship with these energies, the ginger, the paprika, the cinnamon, and what they will represent moving forward to a particular individual that you could be reading for. And here's paprika right here, fire, creative expression, go-getterish kind of energy, And one of my favorites is the veil, which is a person who can see the play of life and how we are all wearing masks at this time and playing a certain role. And this veil denotes one who can see beyond into the ancestral realm and see all the players. This also denotes the players behind the scenes. So if you think of a play, you have people who are moving the props and working the lighting. So this would give one the feeling of giving the gratitude for, as you perform on stage in the physical realm, you have your guides and your ancestors behind the scenes making sure that the play goes as it's supposed to. You understand what I'm saying? So this is just the first of many as we dive in. If there's any cards that you have seen that you would like to hear more about, I'll do singular videos based on just those cards. But as an overall introduction, I just wanted to show some of these off and give a brief overview of why this was created, and then some of the mythology behind it. As some of it is very much connected to the Fool's Journey, but expressed in a different way through my own experience with these different systems and reading for people over the past few years. You know what I mean? So appreciate you for stopping in and getting this far, but I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with more. Peace.